Let's say you're hungry. You feel like pasta. Oh, it's your lucky day. There's a 1+1 on the pasta. You grab 2 boxes. Now you perfectly choose your tomato. You go and take your favorite cheese, go back home, prepare your dinner, eat, and fall asleep, leaving all the remaining of the pasta on the stove. The next morning, you wake up, you take all the stuff that you left last night, and you just throw it all away. What's wrong with this story? Where is the problem? It sounds totally normal. The problem is in all the things that we do not see, that we are blind to, the things that we are not aware, the food that we don't see at all, and the throwing away that we don't realize. Hands on hearts, how much food do you think you're throwing? Not at all, little, embarrassed to say. I guess most of you now are thinking, no, I'm not that kind of person, I'm not throwing away food. Or maybe I'm throwing away a little, that's the things that must go away. But the fact is that you are all wrong. We all throw a lot of food. In our research, we found out that we all don't even realize the amount of food that we throw, and we throw out so much more. Now let's go back to the pasta episode. It was just you throwing away pasta. But like you, there are billions of people around the world doing the same, just throwing away some good food of leftovers. Now, that was you at your house. What about all the rest of the places that you eat at? What happens there? What happens when you eat at your workplace? At hotels, remember all these morning buffets? At the picnic, children at school? When you go to hospital, even when you're on the plane? It all adds up. And it adds up to a lot of food that is being thrown away. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about food which is not good to eat, past its due date, gone off, not worthwhile eating. Now, I'm not here today to make you feel guilty. On the contrary, I'm here to open our eyes. Let's understand the problem and why it's such a huge problem that we're throwing away of food. I mean, I guess no one here thinks it's like a brilliant idea to throw food, right? No one will do it intentionally. But why is it that it's such a huge problem? 3 reasons. It's an environmental problem, it's a social problem, and it's an economical one. Before we go deeper in that, let's first understand the magnitude itself. A person in the Western world is throwing around 295 kilos of food a year. It equivalents to a meal a day to a person for a year. Let's watch this together. Oh no, lady, you dropped a bag. Who would do something like that? It's crazy, right? But we all do that. In fact, we all throw 1/4 of the things that we buy. Just think about it, how much money it is. Now, all these numbers, our own individual ones, are made and compose huge, big numbers on a world scale. Let's look at the numbers. 4.3 million tons of food are wasted each day. And if we look at the numbers during a year, we're talking about 1.3 billion tons of food that we're throwing away. By the end of my talk, it will be 37,000 food that will be thrown away. The real tragedy is that half of this food is good food that we could have been eating. Shocking numbers, right? I guess it's shocking, but we were asking ourselves, is it shocking enough to make us consume differently our food? Probably not. My team and I at the Natural Step Israel decided to find out what will make us consume food differently. So we first started by researching the question, why do we throw so much food? We felt that it couldn't be that the end consumer is the only one to blame for such magnitude of the problem. We felt that it's so huge that it must be that the food chain is also part of it. We have this quote on our website. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We wanted to go far. So we decided that we need to put everyone in one room. And we have joined forces with the government, with business, academia, NGOs, professional organizations, in order to fully understand the problem. What we did is we took all the active players from the food production till the end consumer and put them in one room. Now, believe me, that wasn't an easy task to do because there's so many of them and they're not used to talking with each other. But we made it. For more than 3 years, we're talking and listening and trusting each other, and we succeeded in identifying and mapping the system, understanding where are the blind spots of the system, where are the conflicting interests, and as well the opportunities for change. If you ask yourself if we found the answer regarding why is it that we throw so much food? Yes, we did. And in one word, blindness. We are blind, the system is blind, and the system has incentives to continue and make us all blind. It's time to open our eyes. It's time to wake up. Because when we change the way that we look at things, things start to change. And we decided that we need to do something about it. Now, before I talk about, okay, what are we doing about it, I want you to understand why is it such a problem. So the first reason why, let's imagine that this room represents the world, then this half, yes, you guys, you are hungry, you don't have enough food. But at the same while, this other half, you guys, are throwing away food which could easily have fed this part. Doesn't make sense? No, it's crazy. But this is the fact. This is a fact that we cannot ignore in order to fully understand the social problem in food throwing away. The second reason, is the environmental one. When we are throwing away a tomato, are we just throwing away the tomato? Absolutely not. We're throwing away all the resources that went to grow that tomato and bring it to the supermarket. We're throwing away all the land and soil, all the water, all the energy, all the trucks, infrastructure, air pollution, all these things just for one tomato that we just threw away. Now, another figure that you might not know is that for each box that you see at that supermarket, there was an identical box that didn't even reach the supermarket. And why was that? Because it didn't look perfect. And they thought we wouldn't buy it, so they didn't even bother to bring it. The third element is the economical one. When we throw away food, we literally take money and throw it to the garbage. Now, a system that throws away around 1/3 of what it produces, these are the numbers. $900 billion are wasted each year just because of the throwing away of food. Now imagine what you could be doing with the money that you just wasted. I mean, college, rent, vacation. So now you understand that we as a society, we are blind. We don't see the waste, we're not aware of the cost of it, and we don't realize that there are alternatives. So it's time to wake up and change. And we decided that enough is enough. Enough about the blindness, enough about wasting food. We decided that we wanted to show that it could be done differently. So we invited people to dinner, and we called it mass. What did we do? We started by the ingredients. You know, when you prepare a meal, usually you start by thinking, what do I want to cook? You go search for the ingredients accordingly. We did it different. We didn't have anything in mind. We just made ourselves go to the market, and we looked for what was available. We asked for the seller to give us the things that he cannot sell. It's not food from the garbage. It's things that we, as buyers, don't think that they have any value. Why? Look at them. Just because they are a bit funky looking, too small, too big, or oddly shaped. Nothing wrong with them. They are fully nutritious, healthy, and very good and delicious. So we took it from the sellers and we started working and cooking. What did we do? Nothing special. We did only techniques that each one of us can do at his house. And we started to work with all these things and prepare the delicious meal. Now, I must say, for me personally, that was the place where the magic started, because we took things that were about to be thrown away, were actually nothing, and it started being something. And it was great. The second element we worked with after the ingredients was the leftovers. You know, when you prepare a meal, all the things that you have at the end of the meal, we usually don't pay any second thought about. We just throw them away, maybe pack them. We decided we want no leftovers at the end of our meal. Now, that wasn't an easy task because we had 150 people that came to that dinner, and we didn't want anyone to go back home hungry. So what did we do? We made sure to plan very accurately according to what we believed that people will really eat. And we made it. There was no one left hungry, but we had no leftovers by the end of the meal. Lastly, we're talking about food, okay? And food is much more than a basic human need to survive. Food is fun, it's passion, it's creativity. And especially in our society, when we consume so much with our eyes. So we made sure to put a lot of that in our event, in our dinner. And actually, people were impressed. They came, they were impressed by, the atmosphere, by the delicious meal, by the event itself. They didn't expect the sustainability dinner to be sexy and so much fun. Only by the end of the meal, we told people that everything that was prepared was made from things that were about to be thrown away to the garbage. And that was where people were surprised. And actually, some were really impressed and some were like, oh, yuck, that's gross. But that's exactly the point, because there's no need to be gross or say yuck about food, which is just too small or too big or funky looking. To summarize mass event, what was important for us was to remove the blindness, and we did it. We removed the blindness from the ingredients that are discarded before they reach the supermarket, and we removed the blindness around the leftovers we usually don't pay attention. And what we did is we shifted from customer demand to market availability, and we put a lot of passion inside also, and it was a success. Mass dinner was truly a meal that came from nothing and left nothing at the end. It's important to say, however, that our blindness is not only about food. It's also in the clothes and brands that we buy, in the buildings that we design ourselves, in the cities that we choose to live in, and in transportation mode that we choose. It's all around us. But the blindness is not a fatal disease. It's not anything that we cannot cure, and we surely need to do it. And the food system is a good place to start with. So now you understand about the paradox. A paradox is when something doesn't make sense, right? So it doesn't make sense when a system throws away between 1/3 to half of what it produces. But another thing that doesn't make sense is that we as a society consume so much with our eyes. All the Instagram photos that we put of our food that we eat, all the TV shows, all the celebrity chefs that are making so much effort that our dishes will look beautifully. Even sometimes, they're preferring that over the taste. But at the same while, we are blind to many things and we don't see. So what are we doing about it, and how can you be part of this change? We are working at the system level, together with our 40 partners, active players, the government, the local municipalities, retailers, food producers, NGOs, academia, professional organizations. We are working on implementing Gamechanger solutions. Solutions that will make it for us harder to waste food, and that will reduce the food waste from the system itself. Projects such as reducing the price of almost expiry dates, setting national targets, selling smaller packages, making sure that the expiry dates will be written more carefully, designing different the catering, and so on. And also, obviously, we are working on raising the awareness and giving solutions to the end consumer. And lastly, how can you be part of it? It is simple and it is smart, and 3 things that you can already do today. 1, see your food. Really look at it. Read the expiry dates. If you're not sure, just smell it. Learn how to store your food, how to prolong the life of every one of the things that you have at your house. And if it has a dark edge or mushy edge, just cut it. You don't need to throw it all. The second, fight the urge of buying a 1+1 or just a special deal. Think carefully, will you really be using it by its expiry date? And the third one, adopt an ugly fruit or vegetable. They're so much better than their perfect looking sister or brother. Just take them, love them, look for them. And if you're already doing all of these, then great. There's much more to do. There are many solutions. Just go and search for them. Spread the word and be part of this chain. Let's stop the blindness. Love food, not waste.